I've seen tough, but that little lady makes Linda Carter look like olive oil.
So says a random onlooker/innocent bystander watching Carol Danvers, the future Ms. Marvel, wipe out scurrilous crooks robbing the Third National Bank. How observant. Here's another observation. Marvel needed a Wonder Woman, and it was up to Carol Danvers to save the day. The humorous line also highlights something that was not funny for Marvel Comics in 1977. The company had to reference a superheroine owned by the competition. Marvel needed a successful female hero to expand its demographics and reader base. Carol Danvers mainly played a supporting role with her debut in Marvel Superheroes number 13, March 1968, and she spent a little time as a superhero after gaining unexpected powers in #Captain Marvel number 17, October 1969. The ultra-powerful future Ms. Marvel never experienced a big publishing push until Ms. Marvel number 1 hit newsstands with a 30-cent price tag and a January 1977 cover date. And what a cover! Marvel seemed to lack faith that Ms. Marvel would move sales even with greedy collectors and speculators swooping in to grab multiple copies of a first issue. Marvel did what it was prone to do: use Spider-Man to boost sales. The cover evokes the first issue of Moon Knight by creating a compelling image. Carol Danvers, in her new Ms. Marvel costume, stands tall and defiant, her expression a mix of determination and confidence. Behind her, the partial face of her alter ego, Carol Danvers, peeks out, adding a layer of mystery to her identity. To her side, we see Peter Parker, Mary Jane Watson, and J. Jonah Jameson, each with expressions of shock or awe, watching the action unfold. In the upper left corner, the Scorpion, with a menacing grin, swings his tail to strike, his action juxtaposed against the heroic stance of Ms. Marvel, highlighting her challenge. What a cad! He's also a smart cad, using feeble thugs to distract everyone with their faltering bank robbery efforts. The Scorpion snuck in likely through the front door undetected and walked out with a lot of loot the same way. What more could you ask from writer Jerry Conway and artist Sal Buscema? Comic book plots were a lot simpler back then. So were marketing strategies. In 1977, Spider-Man was Marvel's bestseller, and a young fan might pick up this comic expecting web-slinging action and a cameo by their favorite hero. The issue goes to work at establishing Carol Danvers/Ms. Marvel's narrative landscape. We discover that J. Jonah Jameson wishes to hire Carol Danvers to edit a women's magazine because sales of the Daily Bugle are slipping. Why do I feel there is an inside joke about Marvel's late 1970s circulation figures? Placing Carol Danvers in a job with the Daily Bugle connects her to the Spider-Man universe and the web-slingers readers. We also get a serving of old-time Mary Marvel storytelling with 1970s social commentary. Carol Danvers will edit the woman's magazine for a hefty price and won't entertain Jameson's idea that the magazine should be filled with articles about recipes and fashion, giving the fictional magazine and the very real comic book a topical connection to the women's liberation movement of the era. This approach appealed to older demographics who enjoyed a dash of contemporary culture in their comics. Plot-wise, the Spider-Man connection establishes a logical reason for Ms. Marvel to battle a Spider-Man villain. The Scorpion despises J. Jonah Jameson and hatches another plan for revenge. We've seen this in Spider-Man comics before, and we'd see it again. The main difference here is Ms. Marvel steps in during Spider-Man's absence. However, there's a significant drawback. Placing Ms. Marvel in Spider-Man's orbit dilutes her potential to shine as a unique character with her distinct universe of supporting players. Moreover, Ms. Marvel's self-described seventh sense power alerts her that the Scorpion has kidnapped J. Jonah Jameson off the street, and she feels compelled to intervene. This plot, however, feels somewhat pedestrian and contrived for a debut issue that should ideally have more impact. Ms. Marvel also refers to her seventh sense as intuition, which unfortunately taps into the outdated sexist stereotype of women's intuition, clashing with the progressive, pro-feminist tone set earlier in her characterization. The focus shifts thrilling action sequences when Ms. Marvel battles the Scorpion. Amidst the fight, they exchange expository dialogue that sheds light on Ms. Marvel's mysterious blackouts and amnesia when she dons her costume and her connections to the late Captain Marvel and the alien Kree race, who endowed her with her powers. When the clash between Ms. Marvel and the Scorpion erupts, we're treated to action-packed pages loved by Marvel Comics fans back then. The banter between the heroine and villain fuels the fight and teases intriguing facets of this new character, enticing readers to pick up the next issue. The coming soon tagline for the second issue promises to unveil the secret origin of Ms. Marvel, which is certainly compelling enough to draw readers back for more. In a way, the actual debut of Ms. Marvel comes with the second issue. The inaugural one feels more like a peculiar Marvel team-up comic where Spider-Man is conspicuously absent, his presence only implied as Peter Parker makes an early exit. Overall, Ms. Marvel issue number 1 feels less like a debut and more like a prologue leading up to the true introduction of this new character. The issue has enjoyable moments, and we can overlook the heavy reliance on Spider-Man, considering how challenging it was back then to establish or elevate a supporting character. There are reasons why Spider-Man made so many guest appearances in other characters' books. I must admit that I bought this back issue years ago after reading another Marvel comic that promoted the Ms. Marvel/Scorpion battle. As a huge Spider-Man fan, I was always interested in seeing his villains appear in other books. We'd also see the Scorpion pop up in titles like Captain America and Daredevil. Unfortunately, Ms. Marvel's sales didn't fly off the shelves. The book lasted 23 issues, and the character faded into the background until coming back in a big way in recent years. Ms. Marvel was a bit ahead of her time, and it looks like nearly 50 years later, she's been liberated from sea-level hero status. As the onlooker noted, Carol Danvers didn't just make Linda Carter look like olive oil, she's jumped from comic book obscurity to mainstream notoriety, proving she's worth much more than supporting roles.